Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today we're exploring a guide that makes some truly radical claims about learning English. It practically screams, "You've been lied to."
Yeah.
It really promises to fundamentally change how you approach fluency. So the core premise this source presents is, well, it's quite audacious. English isn't just a language you sort of slog through. Instead, it frames it as a hackable skill, something you can crack the code for, really Mission Impossible style. We're talking about surprising, really unconventional methods, a real paradigm shift from what you might expect.
It's an intriguing perspective, isn't it? Almost rebellious in a way. And for anyone, especially for you listening, who wants to absorb knowledge quickly, maybe without getting bogged down by endless rules,
What?
well, this kind of framing can be incredibly valuable. Sometimes, the most unexpected paths, they're the ones that lead to the biggest aha moments. Helps you connect those dots faster, make sense of complex stuff.
I agree completely. So our mission today is to unpack these secret agent techniques. Let's see how they can maybe transform your approach to achieving English fluency. Okay, so let's unpack this with the first big strategy the source lays out. It's called the FBI method.
FBI, not the agency, I assume.
No, not quite. It stands for fake it, borrow, ignore.
Okay. Fake it, borrow, ignore. Tell me more.
Right. So fake it means pretending you're already fluent, using confidence basically to trick your brain.
Like fake it till you make it.
Exactly. Then borrow is about, well, stealing whole phrases directly from everyday stuff like Netflix, podcasts, even ads.
Stealing phrases, interesting.
Yeah. And ignore means putting grammar rules on the back burner. It's until you can speak more naturally. The source even gives this example, someone ordering coffee with terrible grammar but a big smile, and the barista totally gets them.
Ah, okay. Communication over perfection.
Precisely. The guide suggests your mission, if you will, is to use one stolen phrase every day. Even something simple like, "Hey, what's up?" works.
That fake it concept, though, it sounds powerful, but what about the risk? Reinforcing bad habits if you're not focusing on grammar at all. Does the source get into that tension? Or is it just about, getting the ball rolling?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
It does acknowledge that, perfection comes later.
Yeah.
It really emphasizes that faking it actually helps you build that initial confidence just to start speaking, which, let's be honest, is often the biggest hurdle, right?
Definitely.
It suggests that by acting confident, you actually sort of induce feelings of confidence, like through your body language.
Embodied cognition, yeah.
Right. It's about getting the words out first, and then you refine them.
I see. So what's noteworthy there is how it taps into the psychological side of things. By bypassing that inner critic with the faking it, you're building momentum. It makes sense. And the borrow concept, that's actually a massive shortcut. Linguistically, you're acquiring what we call lexical chunks or collocations.
Lexical chunks.
Yeah, basically ready-made phrases that native speakers use all the time without thinking. It's way more efficient than trying to build sentences word by word from scratch.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It really highlights that practical application, just getting understood, often trumps theoretical perfection, especially early on, especially if you want to learn quickly and, use the knowledge.
Right. And this leads nicely into the next part, which,
Right.
well, this is where it gets really compelling. The video game shortcut.
Video games, how does that fit in?
So the source frames real life as an RPG, a role-playing game. You earn XP, experience points, by completing quests.
Okay, like what kind of quests?
Daily quests might just be talking to any NPC non-player character. Think shopkeepers, Uber drivers, anyone really.
Ah, yeah, okay, I like that framing. NPCs.
And for a bonus level, get this, it suggests you should argue about anything, even if you know you're wrong.
Argue even if you're wrong. Why?
There's even an image in the source of someone losing an argument about, the best pizza toppings, but they're laughing about it. The big takeaway here is that English is not about being perfect. It's about unlocking new dialogues.
That prompts an interesting thought, doesn't it? About how we usually define learning. Instead of just passively consuming information, this method turns real-world interaction into a kind of measurable goal.
Yeah, like leveling up.
Exactly. And that phrase, unlocking new dialogues, it perfectly illustrates that true fluency isn't just rote memorization. It's about being able to engage, to connect, to react.
Right.
Arguing, even if you lose, forces you to articulate, to listen actively, and respond under pressure. This active, sort of iterative approach seems incredibly effective, especially for someone looking to really internalize information deeply and apply it without feeling totally overwhelmed by, a mountain of rules.
Definitely. And finally, moving from these virtual quests to streaming binges, The last surprising strategy the source unveils is what it calls the Netflix conspiracy.
The Netflix conspiracy. Okay, now I'm hooked. Sounds dramatic.
It does. The guide basically claims Netflix is your secret teacher, but you've probably been using it wrong.
How so?
It lays out this Illuminati method. Sounds silly, but stick with me. First, you watch with English subtitles, not your native language subtitles. That's key.
Okay, that makes sense. Immersion.
Second, you pause, you repeat lines aloud, and this is the weird part, you mimic the actor's face.
Mimic their face seriously.
Yes, like actually make the facial expressions. And third, you binge a specific genre. So for example, if you watch a ton of business shows, you'll naturally get better at work-related English.
Ah, context.
Right. The source even includes this funny cartoon of someone badly acting out a Breaking Bad scene, saying, "I am the danger,"
Well,
while making a face.
huh. Okay, while it sounds a bit odd, mimicking the face, that's actually a brilliant example of deep multisensory learning. Yeah, by mimicking not just the words, but the expressions, the intonation, you're engaging multiple senses and muscle memory. That significantly deepens retention. It's a form of embodied learning, like we talked about earlier.
Okay, it connects.
And binge watching a specific genre, that provides this rich, consistent context for vocabulary and phrasing. It lets you acquire knowledge about a topic, like business, while simultaneously boosting your language skills.
Two birds, one stone.
Exactly. What's intriguing here is how it transforms passive entertainment into really active, targeted learning. It speeds up the acquisition process and helps you integrate that new knowledge effectively into your daily life, much faster than just reading a textbook.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener? This deep dive has really shown us that English can be approached quite differently, right? Not as this daunting academic subject, but more like a series of hacks and quests. We've looked at the FBI approach, the video game analogy, and this Netflix conspiracy method.
Exactly. And the underlying principles here are powerful, I think. Confidence really can trick your brain into taking action, overcoming that hesitation.
The fake it part.
Right. And borrowing phrases. That's a legitimate shortcut to sounding more natural because it leverages how native speakers actually talk those lexical chunks. And that practical application, unlocking new dialogues, is way more important than perfect grammar, at least in the early stages.
The talking first.
And furthermore, that active mimetic engagement with media, like the Netflix method, turns your screen time into a powerful kind of secret teacher. This all directly supports your goal, if you're listening, of gaining knowledge thoroughly, but also quickly. And crucially, avoiding that feeling of being just swamped by information.
So your final mission, should you choose to accept it, is to think about how you can apply these hacks, maybe immediately. The source encourages you to consider your own FBI phrase you could use starting today. So what's your phrase going to be?
Even a simple one works.
Exactly. And here's a final provocative thought for you to chew on. If English itself can be seen as a hackable skill, and the source even hints at potentially hacking accents using AI tools down the line.
Whoa, okay.
Right. Then what broader implications does this whole hackable mindset have? Not just for language, but for learning any complex skill or just navigating the information overload we all face. Could applying a hackable approach extend beyond language into other areas of your life? Could it help you distill what's important and move forward faster?
That's a great question to ponder.
Something to mull over until our next deep dive.